بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مرحبا بجميع الزملاء الحضور. احنا النهارده ان شاء الله عندنا ويبينار جديد مع شركة سيرفيس ناو، مع شركة كوينتيكا عن سيستم سيرفيس ناو. طبعا انتوا اللي متابع معانا عارف ان احنا بدأنا معاهم سلسلة ويبينارز من فترة، عملنا لحد دلوقتي 4 ويبينارز، وده الخامس، وفي عندنا في بلان لسه ويبينارز تانية جاية ان شاء الله، بعضهم محدد ميعاد وبعضهم لسه هيتعمل له ميعاد ان شاء الله هنعلن عنه في وقته. احنا النهارده الموضوع بتاعنا عن الريتيل بانكينج Excelling Customer Service، وهيتكلم معانا مهندس علي من شركة كوينتيكا. وطبعا احنا مسجلين الويبينار، وكل الويبينارز اللي فاتت مسجلة موجودة على اليوتيوب وموجودة على الموقع بتاعنا، واللي عنده اي اسئلة يكتبها في التشات وان شاء الله هنرد عليها في اخر الويبينار. ميعادنا ساعة ان شاء الله، بس احنا ممكن برضو فليكسيبل، ممكن نطول شوية ممكن نقل شوية براحتنا، فمتابعوا معانا ان شاء الله. اتفضل استاذ علي.
Thank you, shukran, Stream. Thank you, everyone, and for having us in this session. And just to keep in mind that we will take questions in this webinar. So at the end of we'll leave 5 minutes for questionnaires. If there's any questions that you guys willing to ask. As mentioned, this session will be recorded and will be available after. If you didn't catch it up later, you can actually watch it again. First, what our session is today is about retail banking and excelling customer service. What we're trying to achieve in this call is to give a little bit of a use case of what today that we feel and we see in most of the retail banking areas, and how to deliver the next gen customer experience with connected channels and empower the middle and the back office. So it means it's connecting the front with the middle and the back office, and what challenges that is available and how we can actually sort of achieve this. Going into a little bit of myself, my name is Al-Khayat. I'm an experienced IT solution, and I'm a solution consultant manager here with Quintica, been in the region, the Middle East, Dubai, for the last 4 years now. I have done a lot of projects in different industries, mostly in North America and in the Middle East. So this is one of the areas that we think it's an area that people can actually see the use cases, and where our solution from ServiceNow that they have, it can fit in and solve most of the challenges that runs today's in different areas. Agenda of this meeting, our session is going to be around the ServiceNow point of view on customer service excellence in retail banking, the solution that we would put in place from ServiceNow, and if there's any questions, we'll take at the end. So the first thing that we want to talk is the ServiceNow proof of value and what the customer service excellence is in retail banking, and what we are solving today in this session. So if we look at the banking customer now, these are sort of sources from Deloitte and sources from Accenture banking. And if we look at the areas where the expectations is evolving from the banking customers, and you can see these 5 areas from the perspective of know me and earn my trust, make me happy and make it seamless, make it easy. So you look today, 78% are happy to share their personal data with their bank, but 66% of them are more demand faster and easier services in return. So these are source studies that's been in place, and we're just sharing what's coming up and how we look at the expectations. From earn my trust is 44% of the customers trust their financial institution, and 78% would bank with a tech firm like Amazon and Google. And that's what you can see, that people are looking for more, that for the technology and how this technology is evolving, that they want to be close to have some seamless experience to what they see today. And as well as you can see from 90% of customers trust their peer references, and you see they are in a way that they're 7 more percent as more they're looking at more than ads. And what this is, that people will listen to other people and see how the seamless it's going in for them in with their banks, and how easy their customer ease through these bankings in that area. Other one point that I wanted to bring up is make it seamless. So you see 70% of the customers consider having consistent omni-channel experience, and it's really important for people when they look at banking and how they get supported by the bank. As you know, today there are way more omni-channels that goes from the traditional phone banking, the portal that you access the bank through. You have nowadays the phone with the mobile apps. You have the text messages, and you have different ways that people will look and how the bank serves them, and make them close to their bankers at house. Make it easy, and as you see here, 33% of the customers would use branches more with digital capabilities than that enhance the convenience. So they look at the most of these banks and branches and what digital capabilities that they provide for them, and move on to use these. So these are just some case studies and sources that came up from, as I said, Deloitte and Accenture. So if take the next, what I want to come into the challenge from the front to the back fragmentation. And what I wanted to highlight is, and you see, like when you look at the area from the front office customer journey, when it comes in from this process, from the market to the sale to the onboard, account opening, the transaction and service, finally it's the review and cross sell. If you look what supports this, and then the areas that belongs to the area is, you start with an email and go to the branch, the bankers are involved, and there's paper forms. There's a mobile area that you use in place, and then the call center, and again back to the emails. What this end up is disconnected customer experience across channels, and many of which involves, as you saw, it's more from paper work to email based. Coming into the middle office area, which is, as you see, these are all connected together to provide the final experience, so you have multiple systems. So when you talk from the middle office area, you need to take it from the operations, credit, risk, legal, settlements, compliance. As you can see, it's all tied between employees going in from emails, papers, and it's just in a sequence loop that it moves on. So it's an unstructured processes that's touching multiple functions and systems, but managed through people and email and chat, as you know. And that which keeps the history that you want to actually bring into one system. Going back to the back office, again, that connects to it, it's accounts, deposits, loans, payments, risk. And again, these are the systems that is antiqued and siloed systems that we have. And that comes in from the records that are really difficult to connect with processes and query and extract. So you see that mix that's going in from the really experience, going in from the front office, from the customer journey, to the middle office, to the back end office. And that just highlights in areas that from the front is very manual today, and a lot of paper-based processes, mobile starting from to pop up and not consistently happening, and emails are still heavily used. When you go back again to the just quick on the middle office side, you'll see here is the real complexity that needs to talk to different front offices entry points, and get the processes done in combination with the back and the office. When you look at the back office, again, it's the silos in the nature of it. It's just that and not customer focused. And it's thinking about the data. So I wanted to highlight one thing which is important people would think in their head is, in this, we're not storing the customer data and the transaction payment data. This is not something that we want to take in this area. And there's no need to store that data in these systems that we are actually going to propose later in the solution. So that's just one thing to keep across, because this comes in a lot of thinking about providing a system and storing the data of the customer. Next one, which again, that comes into this journey as well. So as you see from the customer and the front office and the mid-back office, we want to deliver that great service. It means meeting the needs of multiple stakeholders. And you can see from the customer perspective that they want an easy way to actually get fast service from the bank and to navigate easy across the channels, which we just highlighted earlier, and as well from the front office perspective, you have the customer service representative, you have the teller, you have the banker that meets day to day with the customers. Their mission is always to, when serving these customers, they're being able to easily route the customer's service request. And that gets into the right area from the middle and back office to get the right function and track that real time and SLAs to provide the feedback to the customer, which is a key point there. And then if you go back to the mid and back office, you have from the people from the fraud analysts, from the payment ops analysts, the compliance analysts, the credit analysts. Those guys want that one place to work on these requests that comes in and make it easy to collaborate between each other and multiple teams, and allow the guidance to solve these in a fashion way. So this is the journey that we're trying to solve in an area that that connects all the aspects from the customer to the front office, to the mid and back office. And as you see, we're coming into these challenges and what is required to go there. Now, we understand when you look at this, we want to transform from that, it's a radical change that we are looking at in the engagement module. And if you look at those areas between the front to the back and that separation that's happening, you can see where the customer and the front end office and the mid and back. And what we are actually going into, there is no visibility of cases across the stakeholders. There's the duplicate work that's happening and long and arduous processes due to data fragmentation that we saw in these systems earlier. Where do we want to go is to this area and have the customer interact with the front office and they work in the back office as one team. And what we are actually looking into to achieve that and break that silo works and have that system to provide that seamless track and log of those cases that's been submitted. So if we move to the new engagement module, which is alone is not enough, as we know, because as you can see here from the customer perspective, working in directly with a team from the front office, getting their cases worked out, you have the customers will have that system of engagement aligned to all the points that they need to contact that bank. We have asking that question is, are the employees are set up on the system and trained to advise on the privacy issues on these and how they actually are. So as we speak, there is a lot of systems in between that each employee would need to be trained on and to get into this. And then you have the operations. The question comes in to the front and back and back offices. Employees have the tools they need to make their work easier. And that's one important thing that we want to do. And that allows them to collaborate with each other, engage with other customers in a streamlined way. Then you come to that main point, which is the risk and compliance. Where is there a risk and compliance controls embedded in these workflows that it drives them? And are they monitored and reported for audit purposes? So all these questions come to place when we start engaging this module and design to life. And then you have that final piece that makes this happen, which comes from the IT. Is there a clear linkage between these service operations to the underlying systems? And will they know that which operation are impacted and when the system is out, which allows the teams to report these back. And as we know today, there's always importance of these communications about outages, maintenance, whether it's with employees or customers, so they know there is something happening in place. Now, all this that happens is the ongoing management that have this full view that they want to see. So from a business owner perspective, they are want to have that in different areas. So you can see that there's an IT, there's employees, there's a customer experience, there's a middle and back office operations, there's a risk compliance, and then you have all these tools at the bottom, which is from Salesforce to Oracle to SAP and these systems, and how this all comes together. And that would be called the platform of platforms that you can join into one system and feed the data that sequentially give an overall. So what the questions that comes in from IT, as you know, is what's the impact of the core banking system when an outage happens to their business. That's what they're concerned that they need to know. Another thing on these applications, you have the employees actually from a perspective, are my new hires are set up well on these systems? Are they trained on privacy issues on these systems that they work on? You have the other point that when it comes in from the customer experience area is, what is the status of the outstanding customer complaints? Are they actually being fulfilled in the right time? Are they moving seamless between the front and back office areas? And then you come into that middle back office operations where you can see is there that spike in complaints related to the online banking access? It's something that they quantify because of these areas that people are asking for. And then from the risk and compliance, are we actually that team that want to know? Are we actually solving these complaints in a fashion matter and within the regulations that's put into place? Again, as I mentioned, is what we want to go through this is, and what really matters is that there is no solution today that we're going to give you everything together and solve all these, but there would be that solution which is combine these together, and what we called, again, I mentioned this as platforms of platforms. And in the area that I'm going to talk in more in ServiceNow is that we don't want to actually make all this into ServiceNow, but we want to integrate to provide that seamless solution with that. And we want to bring that back and core banking with the CRM and anything else that you see as available, make it visible for all the stakeholders as part of that cycle from the front to the back. And then have the business owner understand the situation from the business it's driven. So the business owner can be look at the revenue into one system and get the status and health about it. Another piece that we go into from there is the capabilities that you need to get the customer service excellence. And as you see here, what we come into is the single pane of glass that across the front and back, and that's what I was coming in the platforms of platform. You would want to have the ability to automate many complex workflows and make them quickly. And as you see at the layer at the bottom, that's from operations and customers, from operations and employees. You want to do the control of embedded workflows and visibility of the bank risk and compliance for the compliance and risk team. From the IT, you want to make sure that these business services are mapped to the underlying systems. So when there's an area of impact, that they can be aligned and notified the business on the side. And then from the management, as we talked about, from the business owners, they want to know from end-to-end visibility and be able to control these operations from multiple lenses that they can see. The baseline is that industrial line data module, the taxonomy, and the architecture with the service management practices that we all bring together into that area. So what I wanted to come in to illustrate a little bit on a quick workflow about a complaint management that happens today. So a customer comes in and logs a complaint into the system, attaches the statement, update the real-time status on it, and then that's the log of the complaint. That case, as you see, it auto routes to a complaint department, which goes to the complaint manager area, which they triage the complaint, review it, take the ownership from that area, gets the line of business insights, and expedite that resolution. Goes into the legal staff, for example, in the back end, that they can look at the line of business collaboration, do the legal complete the tasks between and legal agreements attached corresponded with the complaints manager. And then that goes back to the customer for resolution, and they would be notified to accept and do a survey after that. That's just a quick a life cycle going in from let's say a compliance end-to-end, yet you have in one system sort of the audit of that trail, and you can, instead of today, you might have it through emails, chats, and paperwork, and not in that one system that you can actually solve or go back and understand the history of it, which actually makes some perfect sense from an audit trail, that you have something available for them. The next step that wanted to come and highlight as well, that in that scenario, we have most of these problems that source part of their solution, right? So not from perspective of when there's an IT involved, you have the ticketing system that's sitting there. As you'll see, you have the HCM from the employees, you have the CRM for the customer experience, the online mobile banking. So you can see multiple channels are coming into these areas, but each one serves their own perspective for that area. And then you have the middle and the back office with the PBM and the PPA, and they have the security areas for the risk and compliance and the compliance management, risk management. All these have their own systems working into silos and disconnected between. You have email sending out, you have paperwork going on, you have the chats going on as well. Now, what we come back to that, what that system of action means to the business for the perspective of the business owner there. When you look at from the ServiceNow's horizontal strengths, and you take in perspective the IT and employee, you have the operations can be mapped to the underlying IT assets to minimize that operation risks. From the employee's perspective, you have the employees are equipped with a single place to do their job and activities from the internal and the customer facing. So you have those employees come into one system of action, make sure that they are actually onboarded, they are trained, they finish their tasks from different areas, and they have a system ready that tracks that information. You go from the customer experience, you have those every stakeholder involved within delivering these services to complete the view of the process, right? And get these action requires to deliver it to the process, to the service, sorry. The piece that we're talking about in this area, which is the configuration of ServiceNow industry solution roadmap, that you have the operation area, which is, we talked about the backend systems. So you probably want to increase those SLAs and the automations, and you want to meet to meet that satisfaction of the customers and employees, because that's when you bring in these systems into one action. And then you have the risk and compliance area, which brings in those controls that are embedded into the process to monitor, audit, and report. So the whole idea is to digitize and automate these and personalize that customer journey together and connect the customers to their services. That way, you can improve that customer experience and have that service transparency with the customers, as well as being able to connect those directly with the agents, between agents and clients and the service teams, and then that increase that self-service rate to get the teams or to get the customers coming through these omni channels. And still, if you look back, and that these systems are driven into that one platform to connect together and integrate to get that bits and pieces into what is required. So yes, and moving into that, what is the solution that we're talking about, and how can we empower and drive that front and back end transformation? So there's some value propositions here. So when you look at again, the areas in those we talked about, from the customer operations, from the operations employees, the compliance risk, the IT, and the management, you have that banking industry architecture network, which is the financial services industry standard module that comes at the bottom. Then you have that ServiceNow, which comes in from the service taxonomy and the service management practices that's set up. And then you have the ITIL standards, which is the infrastructure, the standard and IT infrastructure library, which gives you that powerful contextual information in the baseline. And that's where you have your serving your front to back end collaboration and have the visibility. You have that improve. We talked about from the digital workflows, get them at the scale into the system and get them moving on. And you have that risk and compliance in that area as well. Then you have the IT, which is that tracks the resilience of that and move on with having the base system and track, and as well as the management are tracking that information. So the key to success with ServiceNow is that solid foundation that underpins the advanced productivity and the robotics and automation that we bring into the capability of the platform that is there. So as we all know, what drives this is that data, which is the fuel of all these processes to run on, and that data has to be sort of if not, that data is not sort of in a timely, complete, or it's not really in a way that's trustworthy and accurate, that's where you have that problem, because you have all these systems hosting parts of these data, which needs to fed into one place to give that seamless movement. So with ServiceNow, they provide that advanced capabilities to integrate with these systems across the business and enable that data-driven workflows inside and move with it. So we kept talking about that area, which is delivering that connected experience to the front and the back end. So we definitely, from the effortless, that delivered the great experience with effortless engagement. Automate is the resolving those requests in an easy within a case management at a scale, and proactive service management when you have them connected. So embedded in that side, that you have the risk and compliance, then you have the connected IT services. So in that embedded risk and compliance, you can see that from the customer service channels, you have the branch, you have the call center, you have the mobile app, the chat, online, email, all these omni channels that the customer that provided to the customers and within a customer experience service channels. Then you have those requests that fulfill those needs when you have a dispute of a transaction or report of loss of credit, report of fraud or order checks. That comes into place. So these are something that provides the service to them to at a tip of the hand to use. And then you have that middle back end office functions, which is related to the mortgage payments, online banking, the fraud, and as you see, these available there. And that what comes in under that embedded risk and compliance area that can be overseen as well by the connected IT services and bringing into one place. So what we actually coming up to is how and what is those key points in, let's say, in ServiceNow that it allows us to sort of deliver that great experiences, and with that, of course, less engagement. So the support of the branches and partners and customers with the third parties into one place. As you can see, there's a portal that provides that seamless outages, disruptions, and services. They have that knowledge available to them. They have that search-based, as well as they have that sort of phone support. They have the virtual agent. So it's a bunch of omni-channels that allows them to easily interact. It's the one system of giving them sort of the publications or knowledge articles, or you can even interacting with the community that's available to have similar experiences shared between the front end customers. It's a one system of interaction, so you can set up those customer rules, the contracts, entitlements based on each customer. That virtual agent, as you see there, has that natural language understanding. You have a live chat agent that they can interact with. You have those, as I said, integrated communities that allows them to ask similar questions. As people are feeling similar experiences, people can help here and there, and that gives us support. That mobile experiences that they can actually use. The interaction management is one of the pieces that people interact with the service desk at the time they call in. They want to understand from the customer, is he talking about a request, about reporting a case, an issue that's going on. You can see there comes from the ID verification and authorization piece. Advanced work assignment, sending these cases to the right support groups to minimize the effort of having these the service desk teams to find out, or where is the right group that goes in. So with the advanced work assignment, you can actually get the right people on the customer case, complain in a fashion time without having any delays. You still have that capability of adding those special handling notes on some customers when they actually come from the perspective of that you need to deal with this customer differently in a different fashion. There's something on this they called in before that gives you that 360 view for the customers as well into the platform. Then again, we talked about this, which is that serves the omni-channel perspective from the phone, virtual agent, the portal, emails, calls, walk-ups, which comes to the branch, and setting those omni-channels. Then you have those queues that allows you to actually put your groups in the right queues and serve the customers from that perspective. And as you know, with all this, it definitely needs those service level agreements that's set up for the SLAs into the system to achieve by end of day what the customer is asking with a time and fashion manner, and getting them that base high level CSATs for the bank. Now, yes, with that, we have a lot of things that we need to automate from the automate and banking customer service requests. So these service requests that we talked and we see that we can provide, there's the inquiries, there is the customer maintenance, there's account maintenance, there's account and banking services. Each one have multiple areas that customers will start to have for inquiries and investigations. And these could be where the system have one place for these requests and cases that can integrate to provide the feedback into that one area. So when you say about, for example, the reset the passwords or setting up the preferences and these areas, they have a one place that these systems talks to and allows that track of what the end user is actually trying to achieve and get that into one place. Then you have that banking industry architecture network, which is the retail banking services when it comes from loans, deposits, cards, the consumer services and payments, and you can see there's multiple requests that different systems solve. But when you bring them into that one place, that you can actually solve that back front end request. Now, not necessarily these requests can go in for end users. Could be requests for employees that they actually upload on behalf of the customer and do the work, get the system to be done. But at the whole time, we are thinking from the perspective of you have the employees log into one system, raise that request or raise that case, whether it's on behalf or whether they're trying to solve an issue in that system, and get the data that is required specifically for that integration to happen, or even send the data for that system that requires that processing of that data and giving the results back into that system. So it's minimizing that effortless to have multiple systems to accelerate the experience with of the employee, to have that enterprise service. So we talked about the cases that interacts with customers. So that's a normal things that you have, the categorizations, the routing, the advanced work assignments that we talked about that you can assign, the notifications that goes back. As well, you have multiple case types that talks about through the case management system. Then you have that proactive communications, whether you're talking from a case, whether you're sending an email, all tracked into one system. So as you can see from that case, it allows you to do the triage, the research, response, review, and resolve. So it has that process that is set up for a certain case or complaint that is available. It gives a one-stop shop, all the information used there. Plus, on top of that, you have that agent intelligent machine learning that understands from a history of the data of how this case was resolved for certain customers. It could be some knowledge articles that helps to define the resolution. So that plays into really well. Finishing these, you have, as I said, like the important thing is that automation of the workflow behind it. So you have that case that goes through multiple systems that feeds in some data relevant to resolve that issue. Probably it's small on the screen, but as you can see, there is from a chat directly moved into a case. You at the tip of your hand, you have the information about the customer. You have the process that how this case is going to go through by accepting the case by the agent. You have the way to communicate back, and then you have your relevant information or search results from the knowledge base and the history of tickets that's might solve these cases of other customers that's been solved similar issues. And it tells you right away what's remaining on it from an SLA perspective. So the whole idea is that one-stop shop that gives you the front to the employee was connected to the back-end systems and providing the information. As you know, stored this data stored in multiple places that fed into one great case. Coming into the other piece that I wanted to discuss as well, and it's part of it, which is the embedded security and governance of the risk and compliance into those every workflow. So there's a great engine behind this that drives the ticket. So what this allows is build that control test evidence gathering, the real-time compliance indicators that you need, the continuous monitoring of controls against these policies and regulators. So at any time that you have those points or alerts of potential issues, you can actually fire them and inform certain groups in the area about certain things. The main thing that brings in as well is the real-time audits that we look at from the perspective of auditing and having everything into that place through the workflow. Then you have that dynamic of creation of the remediation. Some cases can be remediated really directly within some tasks. You have some thresholds that you can set up. If they get breached by SLAs, what you can do. all these automated, which is today probably it goes through a sequence of an email has happened to another group, or chatted, or by phone, or by paperwork, and just all over the place. It's just scattered and not in an audit fashion that you can actually get them into one system. So the trace is all in one place here for you to drive that. The other part is in your portal. When these requests, when we talked about that, it gives the customer about that transparency in the service, how it's actually presented. So you have the customer that can select that catalog, and you have a native connectivity with the ITSM backend, which is the IT. If you have any problem, let's get into the IT that can help the teams. The ITIL-based support, which is the information technology infrastructure that is the baseline for that system that looks at it. You have the service monitoring bring into one place. You have the operator workspace. All these components is the baseline that actually the IT provides that service to the business, and at the same time they're actually monitoring and providing those feedbacks. So it's at a tip of the hand, the customer's having a problem, or the employee has having a problem with certain issues, or the IT can just chip in on that within a simple an incident that comes in, or a major case that you have, and look at and have it in place. The predictive intelligent area, the monitor of IoT stuff, all this comes into one area, which is Internet of Things, and getting them into that system to provide that one-stop shop from all these silos. And as you see here, if you look at it as a big picture, is these silos that we have today, which is isolated, sort of, it's coming into one system that they can actually cooperatively work together and get the issues solved faster. And then the communications is in one place to people to be aware of what's coming up from outages and areas. By the control of all this, as you can see, is from the business perspective, at the end of the day, they are going to be able to actually get the unmatched view of all the control of the business. So from reportings on the technology, people, facilities, outstanding, you have them, the multiple lenses that you can look on the health of your business from those perspectives. And you have that if there's any failures to the auto assignment based on the configuration of assignment rules. So that gives you that sort of that 360 view for the business to look at in certain areas, services, like, so you look at the screen that here we have, like, from the perspective in an ATM, what's going on and that, and who's a service owner from that perspective. And this gets into more detailed information to provide the business of those reports and results. So it's that one-stop shop place for the business, and gives you that comprehensive real-time view of the business critical operations risk. That's what you probably, the business owners most likely would be looking at. And again, that risk from end-to-end visibility that comes into place. I think this is coming into my last sort of slide before I open to questions. But from the perspective of a retail banking customer service architecture, if you look at the pieces here, you have the front end. So Rania, can you hear me? So probably got disconnected.
Yes, Ali, I can hear you. No problem. You were not disconnected, by the way. Everything was fine.
Okay. So sorry. So yeah. Back to what I was saying is, from the retail banking and customer service architecture, we're looking at the government risk area, which is government and compliance area. So you can see these pieces that comes in from the customer service management area, from the front end, as you have the case management that goes into those requests from financial account management, security master management, that connects, how it connects into one place for the middle and back office, which is the financial requests examples, opening a new account, issue handling from stop a check, and they all feed from that system, which is the core banking platform providers, which is the legacy systems that's available, into the back end, and sort of sync that data with the financial account master, so that all system stays there and sends the corresponding data for that customer master, which is your accounts and contacts, to the case management. So as you can see here, this area in red, which is the policy compliance management, the risk management that comes into place, it's just an area that feeds under the GRC compliance into the customer service management, with the support of having those IT workflows, which is again that's supported by having the ITSM, the IT operations, the IT business management, and DevOps and software asset management. So it gives you that full structure into one system with integrating with these pieces. That's what I wanted to bring into the session today. I know we actually still have 14 minutes, I think, till the end, but I can open it for questions. If there is any questions, Rania, that can post.
Okay, Ali, thank you so much. I think it is very, very interesting to know how much overlapping between service management in IT and non-IT sectors. So really, you still have everything. You still have your customers. You still have a service level agreement. You still have requests. You still have incidents and problems and everything. So you will need everything related to service management even in non-IT sectors. So that was very interesting to see how this matching. So if anybody of the audience has any questions, please post them in the chat so that we can answer your questions. Ali, can you give us some hint about other sectors that can support by ServiceNow system aside from banking? We see banking is it's very evident how you can deal with customers. Because your explanation was very, very good about how to map this related to customer management and service management. What other sectors you can serve using the same mindset?
So if we take from the perspective of what we talked about from the customer service management, so there is one area that is important. So yes, IT, which is the ITSM, which supports all most of the businesses, if not all, and there are the underlying to it. But you have the systems like the customer service management, which is a piece important that comes in from retail, as you saw, comes in banking, comes in as well. In universities, which is education, and health, like hospitals and different health industries. These are some typical examples as well that how the customer interact with the business side, which we can call again the front, so the mid office and the front and back. That it requires sometimes those legacy systems, but having multiple systems to serve a customer is what we're trying to minimize, that time and effort that's being used to get a better customer satisfaction by providing one platform that connects, which can act as platforms of platforms. That means connecting all these together to provide a seamless customer experience. Another area, which is telecom, airlines,
Yes.
All these serves front-end customers. And one of the things that, again, if we look at today, even what we use in our normal day-to-day work, like, when you look at a big example, for example, if you look at Amazon, when you purchase something, or eBay, these are some things that's actually serving customers. And in the back end, these systems when you look at them, they actually come into IT support in the back end to get these systems up and running, but connecting multiple businesses to solve a customer request or a customer issue. So there is a workflow engine behind it. So you are buying something from Amazon, it goes through a sequence of events, but the sequence of events is driven by a workflow to provide a seamless experience to that customer from the minute that he purchased to the minute that he gets it at his door. So that workflow provides that status updates, all these areas.
Yes. So simply any sector where you deal with retailing, or you deal with a large segment of customers. And I think our next webinar is about the telecom sector, right? It's about implementing ServiceNow in the telecom sector. And also we can add to this the governmental sector also. What do you think?
The government as well, it can be used because that's when they provide services to citizens, like for example, so yes. or even residents. So the government is another, and we have examples of governments actually using these sort of in Europe or in North and America as well. So it is being used for this as well. So anything that deals with, as said.
Yes. We have comment from Yvonne. She says, or he says maybe, very insightful webinar. Would love to see the same using the healthcare insurance industry as your use case, please. So they are requesting a similar session on healthcare insurance.
Okay.
We will take note of that and probably will plan for a similar session. Okay. Sure. Any more questions, please?
Yeah, I mean, even if they add some questions, I think we can later follow up as well. Yes. Later, I think, as you're going to this is recorded and it's going to be there, right?
Yes. Yes, sure. Okay, so you can end at this point, and if anybody has any questions, please, you can post directly to the YouTube comment section, or you can send to us by email or to Ali directly at his contacts, and we'll follow up with you. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you in the next webinar.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.